joins. Anyways, let's go ahead with the NFC West. My name is Jeremiah. Let's get started. First of all, let's talk about the Chiefs. Chiefs have an amazing core coming back. They have a pretty good offensive line. Well, they're kind of switching out their offensive left guard situation, but they got Joe Thuney, offensive guard, who that was on the Super Bowl winning Patriots team, but is now with the beloved Chiefs. Jeremy is a player on the Seahawks who's pretty solid. Um, they got him for a pretty decent price, about what I would put at as rate. Austin Blight, who's a Rams center, really solid guy, is now a part of this Chiefs offensive line to reinforce it. Of course, Blake Bell, tight end, that used to be a part of the Dallas Cowboys. Now he's a Chief as well. It's always good to have more good tight ends along with Travis Kelce. Finally, Patrick Mahomes is, of course, back. That is a big thing. And their defense mostly looks the same, which was pretty good up until the last bit of the season where they had some of their ups and downs and some inconsistencies. So I would say the Chiefs, pretty dang good. Moving on with the Raiders. Half their offensive line's gone. Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, and Trent Brown. Those are all pretty good offensive line names, are all gone to other teams. Why do they do it? Well, they wanted to improve on their previous year's off defense alongside a new center, Nick Martin, from the Texans. Now, Solomon Thomas is an interior defensive lineman from San Francisco who's pretty good. Maybe that'll help their shore up some of that run defense issues. Rashell Douglas is a pretty good cornerback. He's previously on the Panthers team last season. For that, so he had some pretty solid years on some pretty good Eagles defenses. I would say that Solomon Thomas and Rashell Douglas will help this defensive line, including Quentin Jefferson, who's a pretty good pass rusher, not a great run defender, but is a pretty good pass rusher. And that you can always use more pass rush help. Of course, I don't know if the Raiders really need that, because the Raiders are pretty good in pass rush, because you can always use more help pass rush no matter what team you are, but they don't truly need it. I mean, last season that was like the one thing their defense was good at. So, questionable move, but something that you can always use help at that position, I suppose. Carl Joseph is a safety. He was on the team last year and could possibly be the reason, because he's back. Carl Joseph was not there last year, but he was there like years prior, and maybe he might part of the reason why that back end was not that good last season, because he was on the Browns. Matt Dickerson is interior D lineman. Of course, another good D lineman. So, of course, that's going to be shoring up that run defense. That's really important for the Raiders this season. They were one of the worst teams at defending the run in the league. They also traded for Willie Snead from the Ravens and John Brown from the Bills. They did this because they traded away some of their two top wide receivers. So, kind of exchange right now. They apparently also need a running back. So they got Kenyon Drake, because, I guess you can always get a new running back, and why not? So Kenyon Drake is now a part of their team. Derek Carr is, of course, still at QB, who's pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. And he can definitely win you some good football games. Now, of course, the Los Angeles Chargers have a new head coach named Brandon Staley, which can change things, I suppose. We don't know yet. So Corey Linsley is an absolute pro for the Packers offensive lineman, with an offensive line that had dominance, is now on the Chargers team, and the line definitely needs help after two of their stars have retired. Jared Cook is a fun tight end who was on the New Orleans Saints, who is now catching passes for the Chargers. That's a really good thing for them to have Jared Cook. Jared Cook's pretty dang good. Now, Kyler Fackrell is an edge rusher. Pretty dang good. I have seen him do a lot of good things for the Packers. And Giants gone for a year. He's pretty good there as well. Now he's on the Chargers. That's going to be a little scary for that Chargers team, having another really good all-pro defensive lineman. Like saying goodbye to Dan Feeney, well, they just cherish it, because he got shipped out to the Jets. He was replaced by Ode Abashi from the Lions. I have no idea how it's going to work out. I mean, when you talked about some of the best O-linemen in the league, Dan Feeney was on that list. I don't know much about Obe Abashi, but I don't think he's quite what that guy is because I didn't hear about him until now. They went from solid game winning QB Tyrod Taylor to Chase Daniels, who has some experience with the Bears to help them out with their playoff berth. So I have Chase Daniels now. Check down machine. I think that can be a decent setup, but who knows? You can always look at that later and see how that goes. Matt Fuller is a right tackle who is on some of the best consistent teams in the league in the Steelers. Now he's charging up on a 3-year deal, which is pretty nice. I would say that the other person is Hunter Henry is gone. That's always a loss. That's a pretty decent loss. Ryan Smith is safe from Buccaneers. And I think that he's pretty good because I heard him do some really cool things in some of those games last season, including the really famous one with the Packers where they just crushed the Packers. And Justin Herbert, QB, it's a pretty nice draft pick. He's going up pretty well. And, finally the Broncos. 5 players from the Broncos have left, including A.J. Boye, which, not the best situation. Mike Boone, Seth Phillip Lindsay. That's a pretty big drop-off because Mike Boone was from the Minnesota Vikings, was pretty okay, but wasn't great. He doesn't really spark up the field. He's just a solid running back, and I don't know how that's going to change based on that. Phillip Lindsay was a major great running back, so we're really gonna have to see how that works out. They might try and get another running back in the draft. They might try and get another running back in free agency, but so far that looks like a really weird exchange of powers. Ronald Derby is a cornerback that was pretty dang good with the Eagles and Washington football team, and I think that that's their most notable acquisition and position. So, all right, guys, that's a lot to bring down there. That's kind of where I'm at as a Seahawks fan. As always, if you want to know more, subscribe and all that. But also, I think what I'm going to do is, for now on, all the other divisions, I'm going to do a nice quick run through where it's just like, stuff that I already know about the team, stuff that I just want to go through and talk about. I want to know if that's something you all want to see, because that's something that I want to kind of try in the future. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And if you want to see more, always come back here to see more. Does anyone want to ask any questions before I go? Because it's a live stream. Be produced on to. Give it like 2 seconds. All right, I think that's it. See you all later. For next week, we'll be going over 2 teams at once because it'll be a nice short incrementally produced thing.